What's up everybody, my name is the Holy Apple and welcome to today's video. So I was thinking quite a bit about how I could improve when it comes to Destiny 2, and it actually got me thinking that there is actually different skill flaws when it comes to Destiny as a whole. So I decided I'm going to make a video on the skill flaws. So this is going to go over what kind of skill flaws there are within Destiny 2, and basically you can decide for yourself where you'd fit into these. I will have more videos going up in the future how you could skill up essentially into the next floor, but just for the sake of this video and keeping it nice and compact, I'm only going to go over to what skill flaws are and what they actually mean. So starting right at the bottom are the blueberries, or the new players, and don't feel bad if you're in this little position. Everybody has been in this skill flaw before, including the likes of Datto, Glad, or whoever your favourite YouTuber is when it comes to Destiny. We've all been here. And in my eyes, this is basically someone who has 100 hours or less within the game and is still trying to find their feet when it comes to actually playing the game. A fairly common pattern you'll see with these players is they make very silly mistakes, or they aren't very quick in reactions when it comes to dealing with their encounters. And a good way to gauge if you're still a blueberry slash new player, I suppose, would be if you were to run a strike and you are getting killed left, right and centre. Not one of the Battlegrounds maps, obviously, because they're designed to be a bit harder and more ad focused. So you can expect to die quite a few times with them if you're relatively new to the game. Another good telltale sign would be you don't know what a god roll is, or you are pretty much clueless as to what exotics are. Again, it's nothing bad, we've all been there, but this is normally a good indicator that you're still quite new to the game. Going up to the next level, of course, we have the casual player slash regular. So basically these players have been around for quite some time now, whether this is between 100 to 500 hours for just speculation's sake. It's basically guaranteed you know exactly what exotics are, you have ideas what kind of weapons you like to use, you have ideas on what kind of perk rolls you like to see on your guns, you have an idea how the stat system works, you know exactly what to go and do to farm for your pinnacles, powerfuls, and other gear like that. And it's without saying, if you go through a strike, you expect to clear it without any kind of hassle, including the Battlegrounds maps. So you could pretty much breeze through any basic combat when it comes to PvE stuff. On the flip side, of course, onto PvP, I will say that it is slightly different, but you could basically hold your own somewhat. You could easily go into a quick play match and you'd get a positive KD, or you'd at least contribute quite a bit to the actual game itself. And if you want to go for full circle, Gambit, you probably know what you're doing, and you're not going to win every single game because Gambit is just like that sometimes, but you have an idea of what you need to do for every specific role. Going into the higher end PvE kind of content, so your dungeons and your legendary nightfalls kind of thing, you'll have a rough idea of what you need to do when it comes to champions, and you'll also have an idea of how to run the dungeons. You may not necessarily have gotten a lot of clears, but that's not a bad thing for this kind of level. Going into the third level of skill, you have your experienced players. So these guys you will see literally everywhere in Destiny. A lot of people in the player base at the minute have been playing Destiny for quite some time. This can literally range anywhere between 500 to 2,000 hours, I'm going to have to speculate. It can be less, of course, and it can be more. But these are the players who could literally run more or less anything, breeze through it, and they'd be perfectly fine doing it. So Nightfalls, they're experienced in doing all of them. Dungeons, they've ran them countless times, probably approaching triple figures on clears. And they've also had some experience with the raids as well, and obviously got their own clears from that as well. In a PvP environment, these guys have probably topped the scoreboard quite a few times, and they know exactly what kind of builds they need to be running to do well in Crucible. Hell, they might have even gone through trials and got a flawless win. I haven't got that yet, but that's just me being bad at PvP, I'm afraid. And then, just for the sake of full circle, they know exactly what they're doing in Gambit, and they could probably whop most players. And at the top of the skill tree, we have the veterans and the top 10%ers. And I'm not talking about the emblem, the top 10% from Guardian Games. That emblem is a shambolic mess. So just because you have that emblem, don't think you're in the top 10%, because you're probably not. A top 10%er slash veteran for me would be able to solo flawless a dungeon. They could do some raid encounters blindfolded more or less because they know exactly what they need to do for every single role. These are the kind of guys who chase every single seal and try to unlock them as they come out. Not only that, they can also go and do the Conqueror stuff as well, so attempting Grandmasters and actually doing them, maybe even gilding the titles. On a PvP standpoint, these are the guys who basically just run through everybody in normal quick play, and they're regularly playing trials when it's about, and also going flawless at the same time, at least once every weekend. Gambit really doesn't apply to this, you just know you're against top 10%er when they can run through you when they invade. And then the final skill tree, also known as the top 1%. Basically, these guys are some next level crazy people that you can only really dream to be. I don't ever see many people going into the top 1%, because obviously it's top 1%, but if you think of like Esoteric, Salta Greppo, Datto, Glad, people of these caliber who can just do some absolutely wacky stuff. And if you look at the PvP side of it as well, you're thinking Frostbolt, you're thinking Grenada Drake, But it's like these guys are just seemingly on the next level. They seem to be just completely amazing at whatever they do. They can solo flawless dungeons like it's something they just do on a weekend because they're bored. They can solo raid encounters because they're absolute nutcases. They can just seem to do the impossible or stuff that you would not otherwise think would be possible. The better way I could probably describe it is to getting into the top 1% would be if you can go flawless on trials every time it comes around and you don't have a problem with solo flawlessing any dungeon and you can run flawless raids, maybe even do Petra's run on Last Wish, that sounds absolutely gnarly in and of itself. So if you can somehow accomplish all that, I'm happy to say you're probably a top 1%er. Oh, and not to mention, these are the guys who also gild their Conqueror's Seal every season without fail, so you know they've got Grandmasters on lockdown. But that is going to be it for the video. I would encourage you guys to subscribe because I'm going to be making a few videos coming out in the future on how you can skill up your game. Obviously, I can't speak for the top 1% because I'm not top 1%, nowhere near it, but I can give you guidance on how I went from Blueberry to, I suppose, above average. It's debatable. But that is everything for the video. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.